In our ongoing interview series discussing current and future trends of philanthropy, we sit down one-on-one with thought leaders to learn and share their relevant experiences from the field. We recently talked to Zaya Mamani, Grants Manager for Headwaters Foundation, about fiscal sponsorship and its impact in the philanthropic world to gain her insight and expertise. This is what she had to say.
So Headwaters Foundation, we work side by side with Western Montanans to create communities that are healthy and thriving. We have a strategic initiative focused on early childhood, but our bigger mission is to work with the communities of Western Montana for broader health.
What is fiscal sponsorship?
Fiscal sponsorship is when there is a fiscal agent, which is a 501c3 IRS determined organization, and fiscal sponsorship relationship is with a charitable organization who doesn't have that IRS 501c3 status, and they use the fiscal agent to be their administrative backbone and receive the donations and charitable funds through the fiscal agent.
In what practical ways does fiscal sponsorship help the philanthropic world?
Fiscal sponsorship is great for the charitable organization who is in startup mode and they're just test driving an idea. They can utilize those administrative resources of the bigger organization that's already established and get guidance and support. They can kind of focus on their mission and less on that administrative burden to get started.
Is fiscal sponsorship geared towards helping organizations start up? Is it something scalable?
I think it can be both. When you're looking at volunteer organizations, they may never become a fully functioning 501c3. They might just be a volunteer organization that's doing a lot of great work in the community. And in some cases like that, they benefit from having that fiscal agent. They just continue on to do some of the great volunteer work that they've done in their community. But I do also feel like larger organizations can utilize fiscal sponsorship for other reasons. And one of the structures that I worked with over the years is collaborative groups. And collaborative groups can be broad, they can be statewide, they can be national. They don't necessarily have to be community-based. And they can receive funding from federal sources, state, local, all kinds of different sources, and they can be a broad range of stakeholders that are involved in some of those collaborative groups. And eventually, a lot of the collaborative groups do become their own 501c3 nonprofit organizations, but it takes time and it takes a lot of work because sometimes those collaborative groups start out in a contentious relationship with the various stakeholders, and the idea is that they come together and figure out the greater benefit to whatever it is that they're working on. So I do feel like it's scalable and it can be broad and it can be larger than just a local neighborhood or community organization.
In what ways do you find the fiscal sponsorship process to be more equitable?
I can see how if you're small and you don't have a lot of funding, that makes some foundations nervous. I believe in a more trust-based model where general operating funds can go to smaller organizations. But I do think that it's helpful, especially to get funding from larger foundations, if you have the backbone of that fiscal agent who does have an audited financial that they can share.
Do you see fiscal sponsorship becoming a rising trend in the coming years? Why? Why not?
When the challenge for funding arises, when more people are in the pool looking for the same amount of funds, some of the smaller organizations get kicked out of the pot because they just aren't as savvy at pulling together those resources. If the fiscal sponsor is savvy enough to help with that fundraising opportunity, I think that this is still a possibility for small organizations.
Check out our YouTube channel for our full video interview series covering the latest topics trending today.